I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the
to the
flag
flag of
of
the
the
United
United
States of
States
America
of America and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for
which
which
it
it stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation under God,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
And like singing happy birthday.
Okay, roll call. Laura, would you start, please?
Actually, Teresa, can you read the blue that you
Sure.
have
Okay,
on your
sure.
roll call?
Um, Before we begin roll call, I need to announce that the board members, Chris Fisher and Teresa Higgins, are participating remotely today pursuant to Government Code 54953 due to caregiving and an emergency. Board member Chris Fisher, as required by Government Code Section 54953, please disclose whether any person 18 years of age or older is present with you at your remote location. If someone is present, please state the general nature of your relationship with that present person.
There is no one over the age of 18 in the room with me. I do have my family in the other room. That would be my mother, brother, and daughter.
Thank you. I, Board Member Teresa Higgins, as required by Government Code Section 54953, disclose any person 18 years of age of older is present with me at my remote location. Yes, my daughter is in the room for a little while. She is working next to me, and she is over the age of 18, but is not going to be here for long. Okay, and continue with roll call normally. Now we can take Laura.
Laura LaValle here.
Michael Seaman here.
So Kathy Strickland here.
Thank you. Okay. Opportunity for the public to address the board. Items not on the agenda. And Michael, would you read those for us, please?
Yeah, do we have something? Okay,
Mike's coming.
I've got it, yes. Do you want to read it or I can read it?
Chair Higgins, I just want to remind you that we need to talk about how the all votes will be conducted. You just have to read it now.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
It's right
uh,
under continuing roll call.
okay. So members, so items not on the agenda, is that what you want me to read? Or
No, it's
roll
right
call?
under continue with roll call. It's all votes of.
Okay.
I'll just read it if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So just so you all know that we have to say all votes will be conducted by roll call to ensure transparency due to remote board members' participation. And we'll read that before each.
Okay,
Each vote.
I got it.
Teresa, I do have
Yes.
a letter here from a member of the public who's not here, but wanted his letter read. It's
Great.
sort of not on the agenda. So I'm just, okay, just read it.
That sounds great.
The letter is from Teresa Mast. The letter reads as follows. Good evening. My name is Teresa Mast and I've lived in Arden Arcade twice in La Valita since 1979. I learned to swim at Howe Park and took ballet, tap, and tumbling in this very community center. Over time, I've seen different social offerings for 50 and older, cards, walks, etc., primarily offered in the morning hours. As most people know, retirement age is 67 and is projected to rise even more. I mention this because daytime activities, while once appreciated by older adults, are no longer practical, as many, perhaps most people over 50 continue to work full-time with the possibility of retirement far in the future. I asked the board to consider a 50+ social events type program held during evening hours, not daytime hours, so we can be included and cultivate a sense of local community. I envision these activities offered through the Park District in the form of notifications of walks, access to this community center for game evenings, a book club, potlucks, planning events, weekend hikes, day trips, and exploring volunteer opportunities, etc. The parameters and logistics of these events can be determined specifically by those participants who attend. Respectfully yours, Teresa Mast.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
No.
Okay, very good. Then we will continue. Consent items. We will do a roll call voting for consent, for the consent items. All votes will be conducted by roll call to ensure transparency due to remote board members' participation. May I have a motion?
I'll move approval of the consent agenda, although I do have comment to make regarding item 4.2B. That comment doesn't necessarily interfere with the voting. We can do it out. I can
Okay.
make the comment afterward.
Sure. So, do I have a
There's
second?
motion to approve. Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
Okay. We will do roll call. All votes will be conducted by roll call. So, all in favor, Laura first?
I'm gonna abstain because I did not get a chance to see the consent agenda before coming here.
Thank you. Michael?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Teresa says aye. Motion passes. All right. Now, Michael, you would like to make a comment?
Yes, on item 4.2B, there were many Little League refunds. I've never seen that many in my whole time on the board, and I'm kind of like to know what's up with that.
We had some issues with the programming and some scheduling of games, so the parents didn't get what we had promised. So we opted to refund them and plan better for next year.
So we didn't have the league, or we had the league, or?
We had the league, but we missed several games. It was just what happened with the season. We had some teams that couldn't play, we had some games canceled. And so rather than have the parents continue to be frustrated, we refunded them the program.
Was it mostly weather or something?
Well, it was just different issues with things going on with the league and teams available. So that's what we opted to do.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're working now to plan for next year to do that differently or better.
Thank you.
I believe, was there a problem with registration with the league? Did we have enough players?
We had, well, Ryan, if you want to speak to number of players.
We had, our league numbers were down. We had late registrations, so we were late starting. We had 11 rainouts, which impacted us. And we had to do something that we've never done before, is play interleague teams, interleagues with Antelope and the North Highlands. So scheduling 3 different organizations at the last minute became cumbersome, and teams would drop or not show up, and it became frustrating. We could set up a game and that team couldn't make it, so we balanced as best we could to get games in.
Is the league thing going to be an ongoing year after year thing?
Little League numbers are down all over. A lot of it is with the Little League International allowing T-ballers to play anywhere they want now. Impacted us. We lost a lot of kids to Arden and Sunrise because that's where they go to school and they got to play there. Antelope had 2 T-ball teams, and that's a big community. North Highlands had 2, we had 1, so we played against each other. A lot in that lower division has gone, because if your siblings a year or 2 older, you also get to play in the league where your youngest one gets to play.
Well, the schools are really whooping us on programs.
Yeah, every team in D6, their registration numbers were just down.
So we're looking at other options as well as, can we do something else for we?
Okay, thank you. All right, next, there are no presentations. Number 6, discussion and direction items. The board will review and discuss and take appropriate action. Again, all votes will be conducted by roll call to ensure transparency due to the remote board members' participation. 6.1, public hearing and approval of resolutions approving the engineer's report, confirming diagram and assessment ordering levy of assessment for fiscal year 2025-26 for the Parks Maintenance and Rec Improvement District. So can I have any discussion or any, Emily, do you want to talk about it at all?
Well, we've got Brandon from SCI Consulting Group. He's gonna lead the public hearing.
Okay,
So
we
if
need
I,
to like open the public hearing and see if there are comments, then close the public hearing and then have discussion.
Typically, you'll have the
Okay.
presentation first and open it for
Okay.
public hearing. Well, hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
yes,
Okay, well, good evening, members of the board, members of the public, members of the district. My name is Brandon Van Leuven with SCI Consulting Group. And today the board will be considering 2 resolutions for the continuation of our benefit assessments that we administer for the district for fiscal year 25-26. Each year we prepare an engineer's report and we pass a series of resolutions, this being the final in our levy administration process. When the board takes action, if the board takes action to approve this, we would then submit the final levy rolls to the Sacramento County Auditor, and their deadline is right around the corner in early August. The district did, based on financial need, take the allowable 3% CPI increase for both assessments. And I would be happy to answer any questions if there are any. This is a pretty procedural thing that we do, and you probably see me each year saying something similar, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
hearing none. Can I please have so we need to do motions on the resolutions for the adoption of the
Teresa, you need to open the public hearing.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. Public hearing is open. We are hearing on approval of resolutions approving the engineer's report and confirming the diagram and assessment ordering levy of assessment for fiscal year 25-26 for park maintenance and recreation improvement assessment. Okay, is there any discussion? As Brandon said, this is pretty normal for what we do every year, and we will continue to do it this way. May I have a motion?
I'll move approval of resolution number 2025-26-1 and 2025-26-2, exactly. Approval as presented in our board packet
And we'll second that, please.
and,
and the map.
and we'll just wait one moment. We need to close the public hearing if there are no comments.
Are there any public comments?
I have none. Okay.
All right,
There
public
are
hearing
none.
closed. All
And
right,
I'll
board.
reiterate my resolution or motion to approve the 2 resolutions. And the maps too, I have to go, is that what it is too, the maps along with it? Or is it just the resolutions? I can't remember.
Just the resolution.
Just the resolution, okay, then I move approval of the 2 resolutions as presented in the board packet.
And I will agree and second it.
Thank you. All votes will be conducted by roll call to ensure transparency due to remote board member participation. We will start with Laura,
Laura Valley, aye.
Michael, I.
Kathy Strickland, aye.
Chris Fisher, aye.
Teresa Higgins, aye. Motion passes. Thank you, SCI Engineering, as always.
Thank you for having us.
All right, thank you. Item 6.2, resolution adopting July 2025 as Parks Make Life Better Month. The board will consider adopting a resolution for the promotion of Parks Make Life Better Month in July.
I move adoption of Parks Make Life Better for July.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I think it's really
Anyone-
cool.
Anyone in the public would like to make a comment?
I don't know enough about it.
Okay. It can't be bad, right? Whatever it is, it can't be bad. So we will, all votes will be conducted by roll call. Laura, you start.
Laura Valley, aye.
Michael Seaman, I.
Kathy Strickland, aye.
Chris Fisher, aye.
Teresa Higgins, aye. Okay, next item, 6.3, approve policy and procedures manual, section 5,000, the board meetings section. Excuse me. So
Teresa,
I
I'm going to
have-
turn this, I'm going to turn this over to our counsel who wrote the policies. We have Gavin with us today, so.
Hello,
Gavin,
directors.
speak to it.
Nice to see you again. As we adopted, I believe in April, the series 4,000 board policies, Emily has taken upon herself to update all the policies. The most recent iteration will be section 5,000, which pertains to board meetings. Much like the section 4,000 policies, they were pretty much replaced almost entirely. These are standard across most of our clients and of course updated for the district, and of course compliant with the law and also refer to the law. Since there were so many edits, I'm not going to go through each one, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to go to a certain section and discuss it with you. But just to reiterate, this is pretty standard and it just gets the district to where it should be as far as policy. And also incorporates the Rosenberg Rules of Procedure, which we presented on, I believe it was a year and a half ago almost. So it incorporates that just as your procedure.
Thank you. What I have done is I've gone through the policy number 5010 and 5,000, and I've just highlighted some things. So I thought maybe I would just run through what I've highlighted and just to bring to our attention the new things, or maybe they're not new things. Maybe they're just things that we maybe need a little reminder on. So I've started with the date, time, and place. The board meetings shall be reconsidered annually for our date, time, and place in the December board meeting. Just in case we wanted to move the date and time for our board meeting, we can do that in December. I didn't realize that. Next thing, 5010.2 talks about special meetings, non-emergency. At least 24 hours before the time of such meeting is when we need notice of that meeting. So that is, again, just something I wanted to highlight. Special meeting emergency will comply with a 24-hour notice required by 5010.2. So those are two items that we have used in the past and we may use in the future. 5010 3.1, 2, and 3 and 4 are pretty just explaining what we talked about. Annual organizational meeting. The board shall hold an annual organizational meeting. So we kind of put this in the December meeting every year, but just know when we adopt our new board, elect the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, we We are doing that in December, and that counts as our annual organizational meeting. So maybe there might be something that we want to say and add to that organizational meeting. Just something to think about. Policy 5020, agenda preparation. We did talk about in the top paragraph, the general
Teresa,
manager yeah, yes, sir.
If we want to discuss the policies, should we do it all at once at the end, or should we do it as we go along based on the slight changes or the objectives or interest points that you brought up?
Have to have your
Um,
motion first.
I'm trying to find
Okay.
out how we want
Ah.
procedurally, do we want a motion
Okay.
and a discussion on each one or on all of it?
Maybe we should do a motion and then discuss each one as I bring it up. Should we do it that way?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I just want to make one
Okay.
clarification, on
Yeah.
50-10, the difference between a special meeting that's non-emergency versus an emergency is the notice requirement. So a special meeting that's non-emergency requires a 24-hour notice, much like a regular meeting is 72-hour as far as an agenda posting, it's 24 hours for non-emergencies. For emergencies, you do not have to comply with the 24-hour.
Mm.
So I just wanted
Okay.
to make that clarification.
I see. You're right. It does say without complying.
Teresa, I think I would like to make a motion that we approve all of the changes,
Okay.
and that subject to discussion, we can make modifications. And we can do that in the form of an amended motion if need be.
Typically,
Does that work?
typically what you would want to do is have the discussion and the motion will be, I move to accept or adopt these policies with these changes. Now, you
Okay.
can have a motion to adopt the policies as is, and then the second director can come in with a substitute motion to say, I adopt these policies with these changes.
Hang on, aren't we, I'm sorry I just want to be clear on the procedures. I thought in order to, discuss something, we had to have a motion so that we would know what we were discussing. As opposed to, we walk through the whole thing, ask questions, and then resolve that we're gonna adopt the things based on what we've already discussed. So I'm really not clear what our procedure is best for here, given that we have several different policies to address.
If you're, well, it's, your procedure is up to the district, or the board itself, how you want to conduct it. What you need is a discussion, a motion, you need public comment before adopting anything, but that the actual progression of how you go through that is up to you. Now, as far as the adoption of these policies, there are quite a few of them. So if I were to do this, just based on my experience working with different public agencies, I would go through them however you want. And if there are any changes, that would be the motion I'd go with.
So it's kind of in the form of a staff report for which we ask for clarification, and then based on what we learned from the staff report, we move to do something and we discuss the thing we moved on.
You can. Typically, how I have clients go about an agenda item is you announce, the chair will announce the agenda item. You'll have a presentation by staff or a consultant or legal counsel.
Yeah.
And then what I like to do is have either public comment or discussion or clarifying questions from the board. Either or.
I
Typically,
think that's in here somewhere in this policy, actually. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
uh,
If I recall reading it.
So, Teresa, what's your preference? How do you wanna like treat this like a staff report first and then?
I think first we treat it like a staff report and then we do a motion at the end. And we can make changes or we can make changes to the policies if we see fit and do that at the end.
Okay. All right. So that means that the questions you have need to be held to the end also. Right?
Okay. Yep, that's fine.
No, we can ask questions.
We can ask
We can
questions,
ask-
but the absence of staff, because basically it's
Yeah,
a
okay.
staff presentation.
Okay,
Well, she can present on it, but, you know, I think the main point here is what we want at the end is, of course, discussion, you need public comment, but what you really want at the end is any clarifications you want to make or edits you want to make to the policy. Just so staff knows, I know, so I can assist in making those. But right now, the way I look at it is Teresa wants to go through like a staff report, which is fine. If you want to go into more detail, and of course, I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
So let's go back
All
into
right.
50, 10 and see if any of the rest of us have any questions on the list.
okay. So would you like to start at 5010 and we'll take each one and then discuss each one?
Or, I have no questions about 50, 10.
Okay,
I have
right.
I have a question, I think maybe there's public comment too, so.
Okay.
My question, my comment or question, I recall an earlier meeting when we were talking about the annual organizational meeting and the positions, president, et cetera, that it was gonna last for 2 years. Is that codified in these?
That would be in the section 4,000 policies. So these are just for board meetings. That's more the board in general and their roles. There's an ethics policy in there, things of that nature.
So-
And Stephen, I believe too that we still need an annual meeting, so we would just make the slate of board members the same for the second year.
And I have a question of clarification. When I first was elected to the board, 1988, this board used to meet twice a month. And we had a discussion of whether we needed to do that or whether we could get everything done in one monthly meeting. And what we determined at that time was to meet no more than 14 times a year, unless there was a need for special meetings, emergency meetings, et cetera. And the reason for that was you have 12 months, so that's 12 meetings. And then in case we needed an extra meeting because of the budget was complicated that particular year, as it often was in those days, by the state. We could have another meeting just to do the budget if we needed to. And we could also have the park tour as a separate meeting. I think since then, the way we've done this in practice is we've tended to stick with the 12 meetings a year. And if we needed to do something else, we would continue that meeting to the next week or 2 weeks later. So for example, we could do the park tour, and if we needed to, we could continue it to an indoor meeting where we had to struggle with something that was of significance and needed to be discussed. So I'm wondering if we can get, if this is an appropriate place to address the number of meetings that we intend to have each year. Because I was concerned that if we don't do that, we might slip down the slippery slope to where we were back in the early 80s of having meetings twice a month or every 2 weeks.
So do you want to consider that in December at the annual meeting, or are you talking about today?
It was never an annual meeting decision. It was from here on, instead of burdening the staff with constantly having to prepare board packets, we were going to be more efficient and just do it once a month, but leave a little bit of flexibility in case we had a budget emergency of some kind or budget stress of some kind. And in case the park tour needed to take up so much time that the public wasn't able to participate in a particular way. So I'm just asking for clarification if we should state.
Was that a policy beforehand?
Well, you know, I can't say that we went through this level of detail in 1988. but it was definitely adopted by the board as a matter of, this is what we want to do from now on. And the primary reason was because otherwise the staff was burdened with
Yeah.
having to constantly prepare board packets.
Well, I would suggest that that's kind of a complicated thing that we don't want to just like come up on the spur of the moment, that if we want to include that in this policy, that we make it we do address it at a later time.
If I may comment, there are really two options as far as how often you conduct. There are more options. Like, you could conduct a meeting every week if you really wanted to, but I don't think anyone wants to do that. It's really once a month or every 2 weeks. Now, right now, you know, if you feel like you need it every 2 weeks, that's one thing, but that's the beauty of a special meeting is, yes, there's 24-hour notice, but you can have notice a month ahead for that special meeting, and you can reiterate that. So if you do have budgetary concerns and you want to have an additional meeting, you could include that. To have maybe 14 meetings set up, I've never come across that with any clients at the firm. And it kind of sets a precedent where, well, now we have to have these 2 meetings, or we could always cancel them. But I think that if you're going to go with 14, just go with 12, and then have that special meeting or the second special meeting needed. And you don't need to do a short notice, or perhaps the public won't be able to attend, but you can have that notice be weeks out in advance, months out in advance if necessary. But at the annual meeting, that's sort of where you have the discussion, December 2nd. You know, typically we would have these budgetary concerns. I, move that we consider an additional meeting in this month. And you can of course have that there if necessary.
Well, back in the day, locally, one of the big problems was that the water district at the time, basically, the board members were using the board meetings for revenue purposes.
Well, Michael, we're already limited to 12 meetings a month anyway, of regular meetings, because that's what it says in there. We'll only conduct them on the third Thursday of each month. Anything else has to be a special meeting or a special, emergency. So we've already limited ourselves.
Okay, so it's inherent in the.
Yes.
If we have it set up as monthly, I mean, that does happen, doesn't make a comment, it does happen, like, there are some small clients that, I want all these committee meetings because, well, I get paid for them. That's a philosophy that some, directors at agencies have, but yeah, right now it's set up as a 12, and then if a special meeting is necessary, staff will, create that agenda and post it as.
But how do we ensure that we're not having a special meeting every month?
Well, we can't. We can't. We have to have a provision for having special meetings. So,
Just lays out the law.
Yeah. We certainly could
I
have the
think-
public come and tell us, you know what, you're having too many special meetings there. And,
Well, that's
I
sort
think-
of what they said
and then they could, okay, and then they could vote us out of office if they thought we weren't responding to their concerns that we're having too many special meetings. But we're limited to 1 meeting a month for regular meetings
Okay,
by this policy.
okay.
And I believe in section 4,000, this is off the top of my head, I haven't reviewed it since we went over in April. I believe there's a cap at how much you can actually get paid a month. We included that, I'm pretty sure.
There is.
Yeah,
There is, yes.
so that's covered in the
Okay.
section 4,000.
Great,
Thank you.
super. All right. So 5010 covers the meetings. 5020 covers board meeting agendas. And I've just highlighted a couple of things about that the general manager in cooperation with the chair will be responsible for preparing the agenda for the regular meeting. And that the public no later than 72 hours before a regular meeting will be able to review it on the website. There are document information on 5020. There's request for copies information on 5020, and some detail. But I believe 5020 covers a lot of what we need to do for agendas and our hearings, public and otherwise. So is there any questions about 50/20?
Does this cover the committee meetings too?
There's a separate
Separate?
Policy.
Okay, I'll read it.
Okay, so 50/20, are we going all through 50/20 all the way to 50/30 and stopping at 50/30? Is that what
That's
we're
right.
commenting on?
That's right.
Okay, I have a couple of quick comments on 50/20. The first one is on 50/20.6 under public participation. And there's actually 3 of these in this paragraph and the following paragraph where it says, it's on the 1, 2, 3rd line down. The board may order the meeting room cleared and continue in session. It doesn't say how the board, are we talking about the chair does that? Or the board puts in a motion and we have to agree to that? How would the board facilitate this under this policy? And then this, just to go over them all, the second one is in the second one, 50/20.7 public hearings. Under E, it says in its directions, the board may set time limits on the amount of time an individual is allowed to comment. Again, there's no means by how the board does that. While on the third one, which is F, it says the board may continue a public hearing from time to time. And then it goes on to say a public hearing may be continued in accordance with the procedures described in policy 5010.4. So in other words, the third time, it actually describes how the board does that, but the first 2 times it doesn't identify how the board would do the things that.
So,
Is anyone following me? Or am
I
I
am.
speaking a little too?
So-
10.4 is about adjourned meeting, so I'm not sure that's that, but I see your point.
I'm not on 5010.4.
But you said that the one referred back to.
so an adjourned meeting is pretty much a continued meeting. So it's the same
Oh, I
way
see
as a
what you're saying.
continued.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So
So it's the other 2 that I'm a little concerned about that we need.
one was how you set time for, how long
Right.
someone can comment.
Right.
So what you would do as a board is decide how long you want the public to be able to comment, and then you establish that, and you would just put it on the agenda. Typically,
Okay,
it's
then
3
it's-
minutes.
Okay, so, but I'm trying to think, okay, so we're in the middle of a meeting. And. Okay, so we're setting the agenda, you're saying it's already been set somewhere else.
Yeah, you're not
It
gonna.
would be nice if it was referenced there. How is, and just like it says, in accordance with procedures described in blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's a good point, because how do you approve the agenda? We don't have a segment in our board meeting sequence that says, number 1, approve the agenda.
So as far as setting the time for the public comment, what you would do as a board is you would direct staff. You would say, you make a motion for 3 minutes for public comment. That's typically what you get for different, it's my city client, my different agencies, it's typically 3 minutes. And then what we would do, I would work with Emily, is include that in the spiel, in the agenda for public comment. You make reference to the time limitations.
You could also have the boilerplate say it's 3 minutes, but if it turns out that the room is packed with people at the time you get to that agenda item, you can change it to 2 minutes. Based on a board meeting, a board member making a motion and a second and a discussion, and yes, we're going to limit it to that. Or you could expand the time from the 3 minutes if there were only 2 or 3 people.
Typically, you'd want to expand, you don't want to go lower.
So can I try to maybe clarify my question?
Mhm.
Okay, so it says in its discretion, the board may set the time limit. Okay. When does the board set those time limits? How does the board set those time limits? And how would the board change those time limits?
So,
I just want in a policy, I would like that spelled out.
okay,
I would like that being said, because that's an important policy question. I think that people, because sometimes we may have to say, and then they can say, well, where does it say that I can only speak for 3 minutes? And I think it's important to have that spelled out.
And like your comment that you wouldn't usually go go to less time, you would increase the time.
And that's fine.
And that should also be in it.
But just like it says that in this third one, where it says the board may continue and it tells you how it can continue, I think it's important. I also think it's really important to do the exact same thing under the removal of individuals who are willfully interrupting the board meeting, the board may order the meeting cleared. I want to know as a board member, how do I do that if that's happening?
It says later on in there that it's initiated by the chairman. I believe it's another 2 articles. I just read it.
What page down at the bottom?
Hold on.
There's something.
Get
Oh,
back
there's
to it.
okay.
So,
He went by about 4 pages.
all right, so question, if these are things that need to be changed in the policy for clarification, is it something that we do? You could do it while we're chatting about the rest of it, or is it something that we need to jot down and then bring it back to us next time?
If you want this amount of edits, it would be table it and then bring it back with these edits at the
Okay.
next board meeting.
Okay.
I mean, there's just, I'm not asking for a lot. I just, I want to know how, and I want to set forth in the policy, because I think policy is the most important thing we do, is have policy, because we live and die by policy.
Recently.
And if we're gonna be kicking people out of a meeting for being disruptive, which I certainly think we have the right, not only the right, but we have the responsibility to do. I wanna have a policy behind me that's very clear on how to do that. So those 2 things I would like, and if it is further on down in here, it'd be
I
nice.
did. I literally just read over it like.
Yeah,
10
it
minutes
would be
ago.
nice to have it referenced, further on down.
I'd like to build on Laura's, need for clarity and say that there was a Senate bill, that was approved by an assembly committee, yesterday, that will undoubtedly come out unscathed from the legislative process. And that is Senate Bill 707, and it makes significant changes to the Brown Act.
I just saw that.
Yeah, and on the one hand, it says, well, it applies to cities and counties that have a certain population. But it leaves the special districts kind of hanging, well, does that mean me and what's my population, and do I serve people outside the boundaries or not? The discussion at the legislature committee yesterday, they blew off the special districts concerns and said, oh, well, we'll have to figure that out as we go along, essentially. And I really don't see them figuring it all out. Beyond the question of the population base, there was a whole lot of procedural steps that the local government coalition, League of Cities, CSAC, CSBA, CARPD, fire chief, et cetera, they wanted to know, well, does this mean that we can't have, when we have remote meetings, that we have to have printed board packets for everybody, or can we still do that on your phone or your tablet? And it wasn't clear. In other words, there are procedural complications. And so I'm wondering if when we consider Laura's points and bring it back later, if we have to consider how the new and improved Brown Act is going to impact all of this.
Has it been fully adopted at this point?
It will be by September 12th, because the legislature's done by then.
Worry about it then.
It's not a fiscal item, it goes to the floor, and then they very well have done it on the floor today, or they could do it on the floor in early August.
It'll probably be
Okay.
enacted first of the year.
All right.
Uh,
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I think right now what we have to do is decide that we are going to bring this back with changes.
Well, I think you need to go through the whole thing,
So it's a.
right?
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
But that chairman
would
needs,
that be
needs something better
acceptable
than
to you
that.
all?
But we have to, we can't make changes, and who's keeping a list of the, thank you.
But clearly 50/20 is one that's gonna have to come back.
Well,
Right,
right
so-
now, have specify how the board can designate limits on public comments, public hearing time,
Oh,
and
that's it.
specify how the board can remove disruptive public,
You might
Okay.
have an old one. 50,
Are there
30,
any other
Hang on one
comments
second.
on
Hang
50?
on 1 second. Where are you?
Okay,
See if he's in
Yeah,
the
you don't have
current or
the
the,
most current one, or else I don't have the most.
No, they're
current
back
one. No,
there.
you don't have the most current.
Oh,
they're back to back,
The current.
they're back to back,
Yes.
so he needs to look at proposed.
Okay, yeah,
you're the
yeah,
wrong
you're the
one.
wrong
Oh,
one, yeah.
Sorry. I was gonna say I found it.
No.
I tried to.
It's never that easy.
So anyway, it's just those two ones that I would like to have referenced so that we have more, more, not only control, but we lay out the justification that allows us to, the justification that allows us to continue the room, to remove people from the room, and the justification that allows people to set time limits.
so for justification on removal, what do you want that to be? So typically, I mean, this is used by almost all of our public agencies, and we represent, I think it's over 40 now. You keep it, they typically keep it quite broad, so they can determine that on the spot, because you don't always know what you're gonna face.
Well, if that's the case, if the chair can at its discretion, is it? Then, which my original thing was, well, it's the board, that's two, who on the board, anybody on, can any director say, you, out of here? Or is it the chair that has to do it, or?
I would have the chair identify that, but have a full motion to actually, by the
But
board.
then that's what it should say,
Okay.
that the chair,
Yeah.
that the board can make a motion to remove anyone from the room.
At direction of the chair.
At the direct, or at the request
Yeah.
of any board
of the
member
chair
something.
or the chair, at the request of the chair or the majority of the board.
It says here that the chair may declare any comment is out of order,
Yeah.
irrelevant, repetitious, or disruptive.
Right, but then it says the board may order the meeting room clear. I'm just really uncomfortable with that because it's not clear, that's all I'm
So
saying.
the chair can make the request to the board. The board then takes the request and votes on it.
Well, what if it's a
And it
director
goes
that
back
wants to
to-
request it? I mean, I'm not sure how the right way to do it is, I'm just saying it needs to have more clarification.
Okay.
Direction from the board on how you want it to be done.
Okay,
Well, and before we go there, and further complicating this is the public's participation remotely. This was discussed in the legislature yesterday evening. What is Zoom bombing? What is disrupting? Who has control over the Zoom bombing and the disrupting for the remote participants? Is that the same balance that you have for the physically present participants? There are many unclear aspects of all of that.
so I would suggest that you maybe work with Emily and if you want us to provide, and then we'll vote on it later.
And maybe considering what Michael is saying about the Zoom, consider the possibilities
Yeah, I'd
of
like
what
to
could
add,
be down the road and how that would be handled
I do think we should add
as an
in
addendum.
for disruptions, because
Yeah.
that is, we've experienced it personally.
Well, yeah, and it's equally, and possibly even given that it's the internet and people love to use the internet to spew, it could very well be that that is the next big problem before the boards.
Well, I would say it's typically now what you see, it is Zoom that's more of a problem.
Sure.
I've never had a board have to have a meeting
Right.
cleared out.
No, but I have been to board meetings, especially with like the city or whatever, where people are
Yeah.
being really rude, disruptive, you can't conduct it. They don't do anything about it. I don't know why people are snapping and stomping their feet and doing all kinds of things.
And of course, that's balanced against freedom of speech.
And it is, but that's why I want a policy.
Right.
Do we
Because
have,
that is brought up, is that everybody has the right. We need that clarified more.
do we have prior to the board actually beginning a spiel, like, you know, there will be you will have 3 minutes, you're, in that section at the beginning of the meeting, we don't talk about behavior. And I'm on a task force that does that clarifies at the beginning of the meeting, this is how you act in this type of a, in this type of a meeting.
Well, I like Laura's idea.
And I really think that you know, I mean, look at how we're, you know, not confused, but asking questions about a lot of this. The public has to be far more confused.
I like Laura's idea that we need to do more, homework on this together with Emily. And I'm thinking probably the best thing to do is to bring to us what is more or less the standard locally of how everybody considers what's a disruption and when to kick people out and when to let them in and et cetera. And then, we maybe leave an asterisk that says, but the state might be changing this real soon. And we might have to make adjustments based upon the recommendations of the Attorney General and the legislature.
Michael's asking for more than I'm asking for, but that's okay. I just wanted,
Well, I think it's two-step.
I just wanted us to have a policy that says this is what you do when you come across this situation, and this is how you do it.
Okay.
On
All right.
those two items.
Teresa, we have a public comment potentially.
Does anybody have public comment on 5020 or any, where we're at so far?
So,
Okay.
public comment for 5030.5, referencing the old version. It does say that the chairman has after clearing the entire room, the chairman may permit those persons who in their opinion were not responsible for the willful disruption to remain in the meeting room. So
That's addressed in here. The last
Yeah.
line of that says nothing in the section would prohibit the board, again, the board, from readmitting an individual or individuals not responsible for
Correct.
disturbing the orderly, and then it gives a government code section for that.
correct.
So I don't know, maybe that government code section is the same one that governs the removal. I'm
So
sorry, I interrupted you.
It's all right. I've been to plenty of meetings and I will tell you, it's better that you keep it as a broad statement than rather than focusing in, because I have seen other meetings. I was at, the airport annexation into Sacramento here 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. And there were a few parties there that should have been removed, but
Yeah.
because of the way the board language was, they couldn't remove them.
I don't mind it being broad, but to me, just the board may do this is a little too broad for me. I think we need to find a balance that is specific enough that gives us the backing, but not so specific that we don't have to work.
How, when, and why.
So as far as these edits, I know you've stated you want a methodology of how you go about this. So it's just up to staff and myself to come up with a methodology of how you would go about doing it. Right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I see that as possibly biting us in the nose if we don't.
Now,
Laura, I think if you just iterate real broadly what you would like to see. So can you
Something more
come up?
specific than the board.
On which one exactly? Let's.
There's three situations that I came up with where it talks about it in 5020.6. The last paragraph on the second page, it says the board may order the meeting room cleared. And then it says nothing in the section would prohibit the board from readmitting an individual. I just want more specifics on why the board can do it, or not, I guess why, but how the board goes about doing that.
The procedure.
Yeah. And then the third one is on 5020.7 in E, it says in its discretion, the board may set time limits. Again, I want to know how the board sets those time limits. Is it the chair? Is it done by a motion? Is it done by, or does just anyone, it's just a little too vague for me.
So what would you prefer? Would you prefer it to be the chair? Would you prefer it to be a motion? We can go with either one.
I think you guys need to confer and maybe check with the Brown Act revision, potential revision, and then come back to us and say, this is what we recommend.
And to answer your question a little more directly, I think that, if something was happening here, I could say to the chair, this is bothering me, and then that would be, her, and then she would take it, or she or he would they would take it on.
Yeah, I'm okay with the chair.
Me
doing
too,
But I just want it spelled out.
but yes, yeah.
Well, let's make it clear.
But it could be the chair may, at the direction of a board member.
No, either the chair does it or the board votes,
Right.
one or the other.
No, right, but what I'm saying is, in writing it out and spelling it out, it could be the chair or at the direction of a board member, the chair.
No,
The chair doesn't
You
operate.
don't want the
as director.
chair acting like a dictator. You don't want the chair ignoring, like, there may be a legitimate yes of a board member. I would like this considered or that person kicked out or.
well, how about either the chair on its own or at a motion and second and
I move removal of this person.
yeah.
So my interpretation of the policy and how it is, and like I said, this is used by many different agencies and areas such as Sac Suburban. It comes from their policy.
Such a long.
And
You're right.
so the board, in my view, is the board acting is by motion.
Okay,
That's how the board acts. You have to have a
by motion, second and approval.
Yeah,
Okay, then maybe that's what it has to be.
Say that.
okay.
Then that might be all we need is the board to by motion,
Yeah.
second and approval, or however you say it, may order the meeting room closed. That would be fine for me. I have no problem with that one.
I think it's a board motion.
Yeah.
Board by motion.
Yeah, by motion.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, and then the same one.
Now we're saying.
That's easy then.
And then that would be a motion, a second, and an approve.
Yeah, I guess all you have to do is say by motion.
All right.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
the
means that-
motion, a second.
That puts it into motion.
Yeah.
Okay, if you put that in
Place.
in those three places, I'm fine. We don't
Okay,
have-
so it's
You want me to show you where they are?
the public hearing for amount of time, it's removing individuals on as the third one,
Readmitting.
readmitting, okay.
In both those cases, it just says the board, and the two are in the one paragraph, and the other one is in the. Now, I don't know if the following fourth one. I'll let you finish, so you don't get it.
Well,
The fourth one would be F, where it says the board may continue a public hearing from time to time. A public hearing may be continued in accordance with the procedures prescribed in that, so I don't know if we need to there. See what I'm saying? That's in 5020-7, the last, 20.7, the last.
Okay.
Yeah. See,
Uh,
that to me spelled it out. It's what we needed to do. I didn't have 49551, but I'm assuming that it spells it out exactly how we need to do it. So I'm assuming we don't need to do it there, but those other three are moving out.
Okay, so I have it for other three.
Sorry.
No worries, no, I mean, I'm glad we could figure out what you wanted with it as far as the language.
Okay.
When I read it, that's inherently how I read it, but we can include the by motion
Okay.
for all three. So it's public comment for limiting public comment on public hearings, removing disruptive members and readmitting disruptive,
Correct.
non-disruptive members,
Correct,
all by motion of the board.
Correct.
If that's the only edits to this 50-20,
yeah,
then
fine,
you can move forward with it with those
Absolutely.
edits and we can make them, we'll have to table.
Sounds good.
absolutely, I'm perfectly happy with that.
Great.
And I
Okay.
am too. And I am too, except I'm still concerned about committee meeting agendas. Yes, there's a proposed policy attached about rules of order. Or,
Where are you, Michael?
I'm still on 50-20, but 50-60 is the one that discusses how to behave at committee meetings. Rules of order. It
Okay.
doesn't talk about, are they gonna take minutes? Are the minutes gonna be presented? Is the public is taking copies of the minutes? So all of those, I think maybe we need an additional policy about committee meeting agendas. I'd be okay if you gave us. Next time around, came with one
Okay.
about that.
Would you like to make? Okay, we can do that. Or we can include it in the, well, let's do a separate policy for committee meeting.
Yeah, we have our standing committees, we have ad hoc committees, and we also have advisory committees. And there might be different, slightly different procedures for each one.
So agenda preparation for standing committees is covered in 50-20.1.
But not for the advisory and
Ad hoc committees?
see, the thing is that it should follow for all of it, not just, oh, well, they're mentioned in this paragraph and on the other paragraph, so is there, how do you do authority to act on matters that are not on the agenda in a community? It isn't, again, like Laura's saying, we need clarity.
Can't we can't just add ad hoc committees, we've got board meetings and standing committee meetings, can we add ad hoc and what would the other kind we want?
Why do you want all of these procedures for the board meeting agendas to also apply to every committee?
Yes, and I
Or-
think we have, I'm sorry, I think we have that in 50-20.1. We talk about the agendas for standing committee meetings
Yeah,
and
so
board
we're on.
meetings. Can we just add ad hoc committee there?
It
And-
says that.
So does 50-20.2 also apply to all three kinds of committees? Does 50-20.3 also apply? Does 50-20.4 also apply? It's not clear.
Well, agenda preparation is only for Brown Act meetings. Properly known as Brown Act meeting. That's why when you need the agenda.
Okay, so what, so again, so required by the Brown Act are standing committees and board meetings.
Any meeting of 3 directors.
But not the other, not
Not the ad hoc committee, no,
There's only 2 members, correct?
no.
Yeah.
2 directors.
So anything that only has two directors does not require that.
It's not a Brown Act meeting. It's not a meeting of the board.
So the answer is no, we don't have to then.
With the Brown Act, but this is about us. This is about the Brown Act. This is about us.
If I may comment. Preparing all these agendas and noticing them, it does take a lot of staff time.
Yeah.
So it's not required by the Brown Act. Generally, you don't want to
Right.
go through all that process and staff time to do so. It's not
Agreed.
required by law.
Third thing is, and again, I go to my other group, you have things that come up in committee meetings, pardon me, ad hoc meetings that don't apply to what you came there for. And so it's a whole different type of meeting. And you have to, it changes, it doesn't change, it morphs into other things. And so
So-
if it's not, if you've got an agenda and there's no agenda, it's not on the agenda, that's a problem, except for an ad hoc, there's only two, and you can move around. It allows the committee to move around more easily.
You can have a general
have
agenda
bigger
to discuss, but you're not posting it. It's not required.
There's two key factors about the committees. One is, does the public know that a committee is going to discuss something? And then the other is, does the public know what they get? So that really goes to notice. You know, there's a proposed agenda, here's the notice, and it's on this date and time and this location. And then the other piece is, they met, and here's what happened. And so you then add back into the board meeting agenda as we sometimes do, or do you just not do anything with it? How does the public?
I appreciate your concern about being open and whatever, but I also suspect that this has been hashed out through lots of discussion revolving around the Brown Act, and think that they probably have come up with the right sweet spot of, it's important that you have a policy that you follow the Brown Act through your policies by agendizing these two types of committees, but you have flexibility on doing that with other things. I think we should leave it as it is.
Well, I can assure you that there is no such clarity about the legislature. And the reason I know this is because FECRPD and CFDA and all the others, we're trying to get the advisory committees to be able to meet remotely as a way to accommodate public participation.
Okay.
And the legislature was arguing about, well, the public needs to know this, the public needs to know
The
that.
legislators don't always know what the hell they're doing. But our side of the is advising us that the Brown Act requires it for just standing committees and really should just be standing committees of 3 or more.
Well, standing committee does not agree.
Does it?
We have two.
You have two?
Yeah.
I have two. And we post and we keep in it.
But you're saying we don't have to do that for a standing committee of 2 or only.
Well, I mean, we've been doing that, I continue it on, but,
Okay.
just to comment on the legislature, they generally do not know what they're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, I am with you. I'm gonna trust you, so.
If you want clarification on any law, go to Cal League of Cities,
Yeah.
go to CSDA, those are
I think we should
the sources you go
leave it
with.
the way it is, but that's
I'm
fine.
Okay,
still
so-
concerned that the public should know that we have meetings.
Well,
and
we
that
can
things-
still do that.
Well,
We can still post that we're having a meeting. We just don't have to have it agenda.
as a matter of policy.
In fact, don't we publish every single meeting that goes on the website?
And also, I mean, at the board meeting, there's a section that you talk about the different committee meetings, so you update.
Right,
the rest of it.
right.
That's true too. Absolutely.
But every
There
single
is-
meeting,
There is
every
a,
single meeting posted on the website.
It's been, yeah, but it's been highly inconsistent. And
And
I would like to see it as a matter of policy. We want transparency on our committees. And so we handle it in these particular ways. The way we handle it, I think, is reasonable. We mention it on our website and we present the agenda in certain times ahead of the meeting, and we then
just like.
report on it
one of the-
as part
Yeah.
of the board packet.
I think that is, we may have to change. I don't know. I'm not in favor of that. Not that I'm saying I'm not in favor of announcing it, but we don't want to have a policy that says exactly how we have to do these things. Other than what we're required of the Brown Act. That's my real opinion, simply because it doesn't give us any flexibility then if you're saying that.
Okay, I agree, Laura. Can we add then a sentence after 5020.1 or somewhere inside 5020.1 that talks about those ad hoc committees and talks about what Michael was saying, that we understand they are ruled under the Brown Act or they are not ruled, whatever we have to say, just to make it simple in that area. So we're talking about the ad hoc and we're talking about committee meetings, correct? Are those the two that you are concerned
Yeah,
with that we,
and the advisory committee.
and the advisory committee? Okay. So we add a simple sentence in there that talks about those three that are conducted.
Can we do it in the heading so we don't have to do it in every paragraph? We've included the board and the committees in 50, 60. So, for instance, board meeting agendas, the board and committee meeting agendas as the heading, and then underneath that, as needed, we can mention the committees or not.
If it's 50-60, why are we talking about it now? That's kind of confusing me.
I'm not talking about the details of that, but I'm looking at the heading. And the heading says, here we have a policy that applies to both the board and the committee.
Okay.
So,
I see what you're saying.
on the agendas, does our approach to dealing with agendas, does that apply to?
You want to say agendas for board meetings and committee meetings?
Yeah, maybe that's the easiest way to do it.
Okay, but now we're not specifying, okay, well, I guess we say standing committee meetings down here.
Well, you could also, instead of repeating it in each paragraph, you can add a section that says committee meetings. Standing committees and.
No, but then now you're talking about making all the same requirements for ad hoc committees and whatever, and I don't think that's a good idea. I think that is like, Gavin was mentioning, that's an undue burden on staff, have to continue. They're gonna be doing nothing but preparing agendas and whatever, and not be able to get their work done.
And amending the agenda.
Yeah,
They've got,
and posting it, and then we have to delay, and then we have to do
But
this.
that's what we already do.
But you're talking about expanding it to more, to
To ad hoc committees,
Right.
to advisory committees and things like that.
I think ad hoc and advisory need to be a completely different, separate thing at the end of this discussion here. Just as an afterthought sort of thing. There are other meetings that we have, blah, 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 blah. They are covered this way. And just a small, simple little blurb.
I
I mean,
agree.
you might even do an ad hoc committee is two people. So it isn't a full board, kind of explaining it to the public what it is. I've known what an ad hoc committee was since I was a small child, because my mom was in politics, but the public doesn't know what an ad hoc meeting is. So I would say it starts there and then moves on to say, and with this committee, with this meeting, since there's only two and it is not a formal meeting by means of an agenda.
Because the public
Okay.
will be aware, based on whatever happens in those committee meetings, it's brought back over here when you guys give an update
Right,
on the
right.
various committee, so the public will be aware, and there is transparency.
And an advisory meeting is it's a whole different organized meeting. It's back and
Okay.
forth, it's a lot
Let's-
freer.
Why we haven't had them for quite a while.
Let's bring this to a head, I guess.
Okay,
So what we are asking is for us to add, or for council to add a sentence on the end of the agenda area, talking about ad hoc and the special committees. Is that
Advisory.
correct? Advisory committees. Okay. All right.
But I don't know what we're gonna say.
All right.
We're going to
Um,
explain,
So
and then
so
we're going to,
I mean,
You're right.
I don't wanna say that we're gonna require them to be agendized and posted and 72 hours notice and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's would serve anybody any good. We'll never get anything done that way.
does the advisory committee qualify under the Brown Act?
I do not believe so.
Then that's what needs to be done. We need the ad hoc and advisory together. These are not Brown Act because they're smaller
go.
meetings. And therefore, blah, 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 blah.
Just want an
Okay.
explanation as to what they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
That's right.
And-
That's right.
Maybe not.
And a simple explanation, you know, so that it's not.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good. I think that'll do it. Yes. All right, that was 50/20. Can we move
We have
on?
a public
I was
comment.
just gonna
Okay,
say
public comment.
that the Measure Q Advisory Committee is subject to the Bond Act for the
Brown Act.
Brown Act.
Okay.
So don't just, and
How about just saying for regular board meetings and meetings of standing,
But the bond, the Measure Q, it is part of the Brown Act.
so why don't we just say for board meetings that are as required by the Brown Act?
That's what we, I think, have.
Board and committee meeting. Answer.
Board and committee, board meetings and committee meetings,
Identify your committee meeting.
no. Let's not.
Then you're doing the slippery slope.
Well, we've got a committee meeting here that is,
Right.
that's just a Measure Q. What are we gonna do? Say our Measure Q committee meeting with that? Just say it if it's as required by the Brown Act, something along that line. We can't identify every single, then we're gonna be adjusting it, changing it and making all kinds of. Oh, is this one of those kind of meetings? Just say as required by the Brown, and those committee meetings that are required by the Brown Act to whatever, I don't know how the words to say.
However it gets done, it needs to be clear to the public.
There you go. Could we put Council and Emily on coming
Yes.
up with a sentence or a paragraph to add to this, to discuss all of that, and we'll look at it next
Yes.
time. Okay. All right.
You need a motion for that?
No, we're not,
Right.
we're still in the staff presentation.
Okay, so now we're moving to 50/30, and I don't, I have a few things highlighted on 50/30. The chair, 50/30, .1, number 2, the chair is to take less active role than other directors in debates and discussions. The chair should strive to speak last at the discussion and debate stage, at the debate stage. Also 50/30.1 subsection 3A, the chair should clearly announce the agenda item and clearly state what the subject is, and then invite the appropriate people to report on the item. So those are things that we do. I just, I think we follow that pretty well. Let's go on to 50.
I have one really minor thing. The first
Yeah.
sentence under 50/30.1, it says meetings of the board of directors shall be conducted by the chairman. We change that to the chair, please.
Yes.
There you
Thank
go.
you. That's an easy.
Chair, just chair. Okay, anything else on 50/30? Just board meeting conduct. Okay, let's move on to 50/40. Board actions and decisions. Actions by the board of directors include but are not limited to adoption or rejection of regulations. You can see them all right there. 50/40.2, quorum requirements, majority vote, all of that is pretty standard. Protection of rights of directors. One of the primary purposes of these rules is procedure is to protect the rights of all directors. The chair will allow each director a reasonable opportunity to discuss a motion after it's been made and seconded before it has been voted on. The chair can set reasonable time limits for discussion on a motion, and I just failed in 50/20 to no, we just need to get our, I think it's the chair's job to take comment and put it in a succinct manner where we can vote on it in a more timely way.
I have a question about 50/40.1.4, which is approval or rejection of any contract for expenditure. Now, I know that we approved the, like petty cash funds, things like that as, every month. But I thought that, for some contracts up to a certain
Yeah.
level, we don't try to micromanage all the way down, like, so if there's a contract
Good
for
point.
$500,
Yeah.
that's.
Right. So
Yeah, we
let's
should
just
have
add, let's just add an amount in that one. Let's just add an amount in,
Well, we have
any
don't we have a
contract.
policy about that somewhere in our policy manual?
You have policy, that we like to increase because of the time.
Yeah, but we should, this section should refer back to that policy.
God forbid there's
Okay.
ever that time again. So we could say adoption of or rejection of any contract or expenditure.
Consistent with policy number
Yeah.
whatever in
Yeah.
such other place.
Yeah. Whereas if that policy says you don't have to have it, board approval for certain amounts, then we're good point.
Right.
Okay, sounds great.
I have two quick ones. So on 5040.7 and 5040.10, talk about these rules. But that's the first time I've seen these rules. Are these rules, are we talking about 4060? I don't know what these rules are.
The word here. These here
Well,
ones,
what rules?
these here ones, the ones here.
Well, there aren't really any rules except for that.
This
It's just-
policy.
Okay, what,
That's
it
policy.
could be policy. Instead of these rules, it could be policies.
But
The
which
primary
policy?
purpose for policy, all of
Policy
them.
5040? Is that what we're talking about? Or is it the board ethics policy 4060?
Primary purpose for these rules of procedure is to protect, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think it does need to be general because they are,
I
We're
don't
talking
care.
about
I just want to know
everything.
what it
Yeah.
refers to.
okay. Okay, so let's have that a little bit more.
And 5040.10 talks about these rules again.
That's what I think I'm looking at.
We don't have a-
Your proposed one. that's the-
5040.10?
That's the old
I don't
one.
have 5040.10.
That's an old one.
The one in the packet, the new improved packet.
Yeah.
Ends at 5040.8.
Page 162.
Oh, is that why? 5040.8. I don't have 5040.8.
Page 162. The bottom one.
5040 point what?
Full packet.
Oh, I see. That's 9 and 10. Okay. So 9 and 10 is out. That was the old packet.
Yeah.
Okay, mine didn't have that. For some reason I got 9 and 10.
I think you're
instead of-
looking at the old
Let's
policy.
see, you go to page.
I have the new one. It got the wrong page stuck to it. It looks like. I have, this one probably might have even gotten stuck. So I need to look at the other one. All right. But these rules are still on 5040.7, correct?
There was 28, 50, 40.8. You should.
So my whole 5040 is incorrect that I got.
It says,
All right, let me find it. Sorry.
It's on page 162.
it says. these
In the packet?
Just a second, let me get. Okay, 5040. Okay, yeah. Conflict of interest, protection of rights of direction. Just 1 second, please, Michael. Okay, so it does say these rules on 5040.6. But that's 5040.7 for this one.
Go to page 162 on the bottom.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 7 was, okay, so that's 6. Turn to what?
Page 162, 161 is the new
In
policy.
the packet.
Okay, all right. So 5040.6 does say these rules. Okay, now let me read the other ones. And see if they're any different. Mine was a little bit off. Ordinances. Okay, mine is just the numbers are different. Everything's the same, I believe. Yeah, these rules on 5040.8.
Yes, what we gave out in.
I just had the wrong number. It's the right, it's all the wording is right, but the numbering is wrong. Okay,
Three different places.
so I'm talking about in 5040.6 and 5040.8, where it talks about these rules. I just want to know what these rules are that we're talking about.
Okay, specify the policy.
Specify what they
Yeah.
are.
Is
Okay.
it 4060 or is it some other rules?
Or all of them. Okay, anything else on 50-40 point 50-40? All right, next, 50-50. Minutes of board meetings. Copies of minutes shall be distributed to the directors unless otherwise an audio tape recording, motions, resolutions, or ordinances. Anything on 50-50?
Well, committee meetings, are they part of? Are they included?
Date, time, and place of each meeting, directors and president absent by name. I think, so Michael, you want to add something to that list?
You could put it in there, 50-50.1.3 is a fairly extensive list.
Right,
What about putting a line in that list pertaining to committees?
okay. I'm okay with that. And what would you like it to say?
What are you saying that we don't need to have all this stuff on the committee meeting minutes? I don't know what you're saying.
The clerk is supposed to keep minutes pertaining to
Regular and special meetings of the
board,
board.
pertaining to board meetings.
Doesn't say that, it says regular and special.
50.1.3 says what's gonna be in those minutes.
Right,
And it lists lots of things
Right.
that are gonna be listed there. Why not add list the, in the minutes include any pertinent information that can, about committees, like, well, how many, you know.
oh, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can put it in here.
All right. Fine, I agree with that.
Please on 50-50.1.3, you want to include a line that pertains to
Reports of committees.
reports of committees.
Yeah. Yeah. If we do that.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Anything else on 50-50? All right, 50-60, rules of order for board and committees. Basically, the board has adopted Rosenberg's rules of order. Points of order, motions, we've gone through the motions before. Any director may make a motion. Secondary
Is
motion,
Rosenberg's rules, the rules that was being referred to? In those other two?
Yeah.
That I was asking?
So as far as the ones you were asking about, it's more so a policy.
Okay.
So I'll
And not a
clarify.
rule, yeah.
Sorry.
Because
okay,
policy can be changed by the board,
Okay.
by the direction of the board. You can change the policy as long as it's compliant with the law. You can say, have a motion in a second and make a direction by the board. We're waiving this policy because if the policy is not as directed by law, it's just your policy. You can change it because it's your guiding.
I just was curious if that's what it meant. Thank you.
all right. 50-60, motions, anything else about motions and public comment? All right, hearing none.
All
So
right,
we
I-
did make enough changes. Go ahead, is it 50?
I move approval of the,
I would
what's
say
in our packets tonight that we said did not need to be changed. And also things that we discussed tonight were easily changed by the striking out a word and replacing it with another word. But that we defer action on, I think there were two of the policies where we said a little more research needed to be done and come back to it next time.
So right
Okay.
now, what I have it as is 50-20.6 and 0.7, we're clarifying how the limits on public comment to include by motion of the board. We're also specifying the removal and the minutes of public members by board motion. 50-20, we need to include a spiel about meetings subject to the Brown Act. So I would,
50-20, we're gonna take that one
Yeah.
off, that's gonna come back.
50-30.1, we're changing chairman to chair. 50-40.1.4, we're referring to the procurement policy on any actions by the board on contracts or expenditures. So it refers to procurement policy. 50-40.6 and 8, we're going to specify what rules means and clearly specify what policy it is. And then,
So we don't have the words for that yet.
no,
Okay.
so, and then 50.1.3, you want to add a line about reports of committees. So the way I'm looking at it right now, I mean, if you want to adopt some of it, I mean, you could just table the entire thing and review it next meeting.
Yes, all right, I'm gonna.
We can even put it on the consent agenda for next time.
Yeah,
If it's all done,
so I would advise just
since we've already.
someone makes a
discussed
motion, table, have a
All right,
second.
so moved.
Second.
You'll need a roll call on that motion to
All right.
table.
And the motion is on the, okay, we have a second?
Yes,
Yeah.
Teresa.
Okay. All right, and roll call, and Laura, please start.
Laura LaValle, aye.
Mike is gonna lie.
Kathy Strickland, aye.
Chris Fisher, aye.
Teresa Higgins, aye. There you go. Thank you. Okay, next, we have informational items. We have, staff report, Measure Q bond updates.
Yes, thank you, Teresa. So today we had our bond sale.
Oh,
And so I'm just going to hopefully I brought the information to read to you, and if not, I'll leave it. So we had the bond sale, and while Mike and I are not that savvy in bond sales and interest rates and series and so forth, we did get into it. No, and so you have in your packet one that says sources and uses of funds.
Yeah.
Thank you. You might save the day. And then you also have Measure Q final order monitor for bond sales. And so I'm just gonna read what the bond people shared with us. Told you what happened today. It said that, over the past week, bond underwriter Oppenheimer has been pre-marketing the bonds to investors in anticipation of the bond sale. Yesterday, the district, ISM advisors, and Oppenheimer held a pre-pricing meeting to discuss proposed interest rates and repayment structure. And today, from 7 AM to 9 AM, Oppenheimer took investor orders for the district bonds. During the order period, a series of positive economic reports called interest rates to rise. Generally, good economic news means interest rates go up, and bad news means that they decrease. By the final bond pricing call, tax exempt rates had increased by as many as 10 basis points, which is 10%. Despite this, the pre-marketing efforts paid off, and the district was able to generate significant interest in its bonds. In total, Oppenheimer received 17.4 million in orders from 7 different institutional buyers, which are big bond funds, as well as some retail, which are individual people accounts. The demand, coupled with some structuring changes suggested by ISM advisors, allowed Oppenheimer to, in aggregate, decrease the borrowing cost paid by taxpayers from the prior pre-date pricing. So yesterday, we went over pricing. They did some structural changes before they went on the market this morning at 7, and we were able to get a better rate for the taxpayer.
Good. So what is our rate?
Well, it varies. And so if we go to the sources and uses fund, the second page, what I'll have to do is have the bond people come explain this to you, Bill. Because I'm just spouting what they have indicated to me, but they told us we had a good day, we had a good outcome. We had good interest, and we had some interest that they, I think were surprised but encouraged that we got.
This is interesting. I can see it happening. This is fascinating how this works.
It is fascinating. I wish I was a better explainer of it all. I mean, I've sat through all these meetings, but I still don't know bond sale.
I'm just really confused when he said that interest rates are gonna go up, whereas I heard it, everything I heard is interest rates are going down.
You know, interest rate,
It's the way of the bond market.
yes, for the bonds,
So
so.
bonds go up.
For the bonds, and so the
Right.
people buying it get a better interest rate, so it's more encouraging to them to take it. Because they get more money.
I mean, it is what it is, but.
Yeah. And the stock market reflects the bond market and vice versa.
And so if you look at the chart, this is what they said, anything over the black line, so you'll see the charts, they've got blue columns with black lines in them. Anything over the black line means that FEC received more orders than bonds available, which is good.
Yeah.
The strong demand in those years allowed our bond sellers to hold interest rates steady or decrease rates in a couple of years, even though the overall market was experiencing an increase in rates. The only off year was the year 2039. We didn't sell anything. So Oppenheimer, who was our bond rep, they bought them and they'll sell them then at a later date. But this allows us to have all of our proceeds locked in at the interest rates. So on about July 30th, we will get 7.8 million.
And these are the interest rates over here on this other page. The coupon, 5%, 5%, 5% too.
Actually, it will be in 7.6 because of that's.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the bond proceeds, 7.8 million, and then we have a premium, we'll get 7.63.
7.63 million
Yeah,
is our first installment.
exactly. So
That's about what
anyway,
we were expecting, right?
yes, so I guess the good news is all of our bond people seem to be happy. The bad news is that you have no way explaining what happened. So,
The really bad news is you're trying to explain it to me.
We're,
and so I will have them come and talk to you so you understand it. Really,
okay,
When will you see what we're gonna
Great.
buy?
well,
Next month?
we're planning for next month, because right now we're collecting pricing. And we have to have, like. We know that a shade structure costs between 40 and 60, and so we're trying to pin it down.
Okay.
Is it gonna be 61?
Are you going
Change?
to have a
That's a-
special meeting on what we're gonna do?
That could be neat.
I don't think we're having a special.
really real
meeting.
quickly, are the things that,
We need time to put it all together, what we're
Yeah,
gonna,
once you put it all together. Okay.
yeah, because it'll probably go to programs and committees.
But when is the next meeting of the Measure D committee?
We don't have anything scheduled, because we'll be waiting for,
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Emily, I think even in an email, you could tell us the things that you are going out to find pricing for. It would be great listed for us just to see.
Okay, we do have a list.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll write it down.
State wants to.
I'm sorry, did you say you were gonna include that bond oversight committee with that email, that list?
No, we didn't say, we just said, I just said we can put that list together. So,
Did you?
yeah, we can do that for sure.
Great.
But the issue is, Teresa and board, we don't want to rush into this. That's why we're being deliberate. I mean,
Absolutely.
we have so many different
Absolutely.
things that we need to do. We're trying to, as a staff.
No, I didn't
determine
expect it quickly.
what it is that we can do based on some of the community priorities.
There are some small things that are essentially no brainers. That if we did them early, then the public would see.
Correct.
I see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and you know, there are things that are really simple. I mean, the last time that I was in a meeting with the park district, we're really low on money. Sometimes, let's start spending, but we can do things like updating the boards in each park. There is a large board that discusses what's going on, and usually it's empty. But it would be nice to see those updated. And, I mean, this is an in-house shop thing, I think. And planted in the ground and used. And I mean, little things, just so that the people see that, whoa, look at this is cool, it's a little deal. And then all of a sudden, here comes a whole picnic area. And, or, you know, if we're fortunate enough, we get the sound venues and different things like that. But then I'm the cheat here.
Another example
Okay.
is the Bellevue, the bench of Bellevue, which is pretty short. We talked about it forever. The
Yeah,
concert committee
yeah.
said if they want it, we know it's an immediate improvement for security. Another one is,
Lights in the dog park.
another one is potentially the tiny little triangular piece, at Babcock. If we can negotiate a deal with the city of Sacramento to acquire that, because it goes to access and people can
Yeah,
stick a sign in the ground, that this here is Babcock Park, and maybe even have room for a tiny little swing.
Although if we are going to be subject to the state regulating the gates, I'm not sure I want a single gate in any of our parks. This is absolutely ridiculous.
yeah, that came as a shock.
Yeah, that way, I'm.
We could put a bike lot up there, though. That's a very small little thing that is very important in a park.
So basically, maybe real soon, maybe not too many months from now, we can have a discussion of what are some of the real quick, small items we could do that would have very visible payoff in terms of demonstrating to the public that we're hearing what they're saying and we're doing what they want.
And security needs to be a part of that because that's a big deal.
Well, we're working on all of that. We've been working on it since we just don't have it defined quite yet. But thank you.
Thank you.
So anyway, it was fun and exciting. We will have the bond people come when they have an opportunity and tell you better skill than I do.
All right. Moving on, number 8, correspondence and announcements. They were all in our packet. Does anybody have any comments or things to say on those correspondence?
What's
Okay,
the
next.
that, Assemblyman, I'm sorry, that Congressman Barrow's request was going to pay off.
I have no idea, so just to bring everybody else up, that's the 2.873 million that we asked for. We asked for 25 and we didn't get it. And so we applied. I was quite surprised, but encouraged that we put us forward again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nice to see that in there.
Yeah. I
All
just
right.
have one.
Yeah.
Is our architect just sort of figuring out, okay, little dots here, this is where the wing would go up at Bohemian? Because she's coming with a design that, you know, for what's now, but is there, you know, if we ever got that money, is there a way to put a separate wing on there? I mean, is somebody have an idea, an architect?
The architect will work with that, yes.
Okay, is he doing that now? I mean, is he
No.
thinking ahead? Because if you finish a design and there's no way to add on to that without messing the whole thing up, I think you should be aware of it.
Same thing.
I think I've heard that from the before. I totally agree.
Well, of course, we're working with the architect, but he hasn't put it in the design for you guys because it's a separate issue.
You need to define it, but he just needs to sort of be able to tell us. At some point, if you ever got that money, this would be where it would go. And we can add it on. Not, it doesn't have to be a separate building now.
It would be kind of neat to have him come talk to the board.
They are coming when they finish with the preliminary
When,
work.
about,
They're gonna finish with that work maybe by the end of August,
okay,
so.
excellent.
Okay, next. Committee reports, Personnel and Finance, Chair Laura.
Okay, so we met, we talked about the June financials and, you know, the situation remains roughly the same. We hope we haven't gotten a great windfall. We talked about various staffing, possibilities on how to, be creative and reimagine our staffing and, things that are just in the making or in the possibility realm. And we talked about possibly paying off our lease obligations, just as a possibility. Yeah, maybe we just talked about possibilities. But just to bring you up to date, and that's what we talked about.
So, how much how many are we thinking about paying off on the lease?
We're not thinking about anything right now. We're discussing what we can and cannot do with the couple.
The payoff is Mike.
It's about close to under 860,000, 859, 35.
And that would give us immediate relief going
Right.
forward forever and ever.
Right, that would probably be
Well,
what.
that would have to come out of our bond.
Right, but what we can, that might be a thing to show the public that we're making, we're not unnecessary interest anymore. They would like to hear that. It's kind of like if we always pay off the mortgage on the house.
No, I want to hear that, but it isn't something you can hold in your hands and look at and play with and see you do.
It's also not really, we're just transferring the interest to the bond interest.
Yeah.
We're not eliminating that.
I don't think it's something.
But it is something we can discuss at a
Yeah.
later time when we have more, more facts, it's on the agenda, et cetera. Okay, that's all.
All right. Thank you. Programs, facilities, and projects?
We had a meeting that and we reported on at our last,
Okay,
so we did.
Great. okay. And community relations.
We did meet this week and we talked about many things and I left my papers at home. The grand opening of Babcock will be at the end of the month.
Or the beginning of
Or
next.
the beginning of August, yes, that came out. Chris, was there, what else did we have, did we meet and talk about?
We discussed the 70th anniversary, whether or
That's
not we
right.
wanted to do that or push it off to the 75th. And I think ultimately we decided that let's proceed with the 70th. That's a good time. People would probably appreciate that. We discussed that small sliver of property that is next to Babcock. Sounds like that's owned by a trust. So I think there was a little bit of some fact finding to be done there. Those are the most notable ones at the top of my brain.
Thank you.
So Teresa, I think that's it for the reports.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, my internet was being sketchy. Okay. Future agenda items, matters, announcements by the directors. Is this, go ahead, Laura, first.
I don't have anything for this week, I don't think.
Okay. Michael?
I have three. One, I attended a FECRPD legislative meeting. And I'm you've already seen in your packet that there's good news and progress on Senate Bill 499. I don't need to go into detail on that. There's also good news on Assembly Bill 1337. It failed yesterday. And the good news about that is, had it passed, it would have changed the Information Practices Act in a way that would have required our district and everybody else to do a ton of additional bureaucratic paperwork. So we don't have that hanging over as a potential burden on staff anymore, because the bill has been made a 2-year bill and is likely to not come back to life. There's been a lot of discussion about the AEDs, and there are several bills pertaining to them. There's some good news in that regard. One is that one of the bills extends the implementation date out to 2028, which gives everybody breathing room and the ability to catch their breath and figure out what to do. And the other is, there's been a number of bills that pertain to youth sports. And that was kind of linked with the AEDs as well. And ultimately, it turned out that there's yet another bill, and it's going to say, and it's going to pass, that there will be a committee that will study what needs to be done with respect to youth sports and all the various entanglements that are associated with that. And then the committee will then report back and tell the legislature, here's what's really needed to be done, what priority were, and so forth. So that's good news. And then finally, there's some slightly not good news. Senate Bill 707 was passed out of committee and is headed to the Assembly floor. It's a Brown Act provision. I alluded to it earlier tonight. Specifically, it has to do with what population your special district serves versus what your city serves. And ultimately, there's a ton of micromanaging involved in it, and potential for frivolous lawsuits for missing out on some of the micromanagement aspects. And then also potentially additional costs to special districts. When you think about our room here, we kind of get by with the device in the middle of the room and one screen in the back. And we don't have microphones here. We don't have microphones for the staff, and we don't have a microphone for the public. We have a little portable one that works. Most of the time it works, sometimes it doesn't. So these are all going to wind up big cost if SB 707 comes to fruition. And we just need to understand, okay, they said they're going to do it. And so that's part of the not so happy news, but there's good news about those other bills that I mentioned. Next, I attended our Assembly Member Krell's new district office open house. The good news is that instead of having to pay a ton of money to park when you go to the old one, which was on L Street, right across the street from the Capitol, the new one, a couple blocks away, are some 2-hour parking spaces that are free, which means that it's easier for us to go there and not have to spend a ton of money to go there. Then third, while I was there, I bumped into City Council Member Roger Dickinson and chatted with him about the Babcock project. He's excited about it. He wants to have the ribbon cutting that we want to have. He's looking forward to that. He wants to talk to us about the funny little triangle of land. Maybe we could go in halvesies or something with expenditures to acquire that land, or maybe not. At least he knows about it. He wants to talk about it. He wants to think it over. And finally, he was totally on board with the concept that we need to do some kind of event sometime fairly soon after the ribbon cutting and before it's constructed. So maybe it's a movie night or maybe it's something else, whatever it might be. And he's quite happy to be the central figure that stands up and makes a lot of that happen. So the public will then have a discrete, definite signal. Your part is back, it's yours, here's what you can do with it.
That's
Yeah, he was all happy about that. And so Emily, you need to talk to Roger. Yeah.
Okay, something.
Yeah, nothing.
And I just want to make a comment about July 3rd. We did have a nice little gathering on July 3rd at Sealy Park. Um, uh, Lots of wonderful fireworks that, those fireworks never disappoint. So Emily and I talked briefly about possibly making that a part, one of our FEC events, and we publicize it as July 3rd in Sealy Park. So that was wonderful. We had some confusion on locking gates versus not locking gates, but I think that was okay. We will fix that. All right. And future agenda items by the general manager.
Um, Teresa, if Chris has
I
any
don't-
comments.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry,
don't-
Chris.
No worries, Scott. I don't have
I know you
anything
can't
tonight.
see him.
I didn't see you there.
Can I
All good.
piggyback off of the fireworks thing and say
Yes.
that we really do need to take the pine tree down? It's just in the way of the fireworks. That's it. It goes between the oak trees, boom, but the pine
Yeah,
tree is right
yeah.
there.
Well, what was funny this year about the fireworks is it was rather windy, and you can't shoot off fireworks with lots of wind. So they kept stalling in between booms. And we thought we had seen the grand finale, and everybody started
Yep.
leaving. And then we're all in the parking lot, and all of a sudden there's this grand finale. So it was rather fun.
Perfect.
Okay, Miss Emily.
Okay.
We are having Disability Pride Month Cottage Park cleanup on Saturday. I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan about what's actually happening.
Last year, we had that event at Howell Park and we had 3 state organizations join us. This year, we're doing it at Cottage Park and we have 6 state organizations joining us this year. We have the Conservation Corps will be there, Department of Energy, Department of Managed Healthcare, Department of Public Health, California Office of Emergency Services, and the Department of Conservation will be there. We're going to work along that walking path that goes around the park. We're gonna clean that area and we're gonna get along that creek bed. It's
Awesome.
gonna be our focus from 8 to 10 on Saturday. So if you're not doing
Super.
anything Saturday morning, come on down.
Thank you.
And one of our board members' wives is
Yeah, Chris Annie's planning on being there
you have to explain to the rest of the board.
at your neighborhood.
Yeah,
Chris-
so I don't mind. Yeah, my wife works for the Department of Managed Healthcare, and so she and many of her colleagues in that department participated, collaborated to kind of help get that off the ground. So kind of hits close to home. So I'm really happy to see that happening. I'm hoping there will be more things like that.
That's wonderful. By the way, Chris, I was happy to see you at the FECRPD meeting, speaking with lots of people and kind of milling around, and that was, I remember it took me at least 3 years to talk to anybody because I was, shy, didn't know anybody. So yeah, Chris made an impact already, everybody, on all of those movers and shakers. So thank you.
Right.
That's why we voted again.
That's right. That's
Appreciate
right.
it.
Okay. And Emily, anything else?
I just wanted to say that Westwood, who's doing the Bohemian Park project, they are beginning their geotechnical investigations. So they will be doing soil samplings out there very soon. So looking borings and percolation testing. So we'll start seeing some activity around it. So kind of excited.
Good. All right. Anything
last-
else?
Teresa?
Yeah.
One last thing,
Mhm.
I've asked Westwood to look into, because Governor Newsom signed CEQA reform.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the, parks is included in that, so we get some relief. And we're investigating, what does that relief mean?
Yeah, that's a good
Great.
question because it's, as I read it, it doesn't pertain to the things that have already happened. It's only the ones
Coming up.
coming up. So we may not benefit from that. Far more importantly, it's now, really easy for housing to be built. Especially in infill areas, so we may see a spurt of housing in places that catch us by surprise. And we wind up having to, pick up the pieces afterwards. That's where the legislation on, 499 is helpful, because it says that, parks are infrastructure, not nice to have items, and you gotta put them in place so when the people are occupying that the new housing, they're able to use the infrastructure instead of they're occupying and then they demand the infrastructure. And we would then have to pay for the infrastructure at a higher cost based on that later time where the public moves in and demands it versus having the developer chip in at the start.
Couple more things. We're going to have a ribbon cutting with SMUD for the solar shelters. And that's gonna happen sometime early August. We're just waiting for the SMUD people that we work with. They're helping us put it together. We are also installing the gazebo work. Will start next week in Santa Anita. So we've got a couple things starting and moving along, so.
Thank you. Good. All right. Seeing that it is 11:32 on the East Coast.
Oh, God.
I am gonna say. I am gonna say we are adjourned. Thank you all. And Michael, you can sign for me tonight if there's anything we need to sign.
Will do.
Okay.
Board member, before you guys leave, I just wanted to say, most of the time the public does come here just to complain. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to say that you guys are doing an amazing job.
Aw.
And you're doing an amazing job as a father. Your girls were just well behaved.
And charming too, at the very beginning before they came in, they'd sneak over and look.
We're bringing them to the swim team. We ain't got them there yet, or seen.
I haven't gotten
but-
there yet, but.
Could save their lives someday.
And they're keep the kids.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Emily,
Thanks,
there are
everybody.
7
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
unhoused people
Good
in
night.
Santa Anita,
Good night, Chris.
including a couple
Good night,
in a
Teresa.
tent. Next to the